All right, Wednesday crew. Obviously, I bit off a little more than we could chew with my original prompt idea because nobody's thing generated in time for you to actually have any output files to mess around with. So here's what I'm going to be adjusting it for the rest of the class to do that you guys can also do. Although if you want to keep your original prompt generation, if it did finish and work, I'm okay with that. What I'm going to tell the rest of the class to do is copy my exact prompt here. This make me a splash page for an upcoming whatever event you want to call it. In this case, my example is going to be an upcoming band event, a show that has the look and feel of the attached graphic. And I'm giving it literally this graphic that you see displayed right here. However, you can give it any graphic you want, or if you want a Figma file, you can actually use Figma files with some of these generators, which is pretty cool. And then I'm also giving it the delimiter, the requirement that it should have a countdown to a date. Don't say date in brackets, give it an actual date. I said July 1st of 2026. And provide a README with, this is very important, make sure that text is in there. Provide a README with step-by-step local build instructions with prerequisites and build commands to deploy to a typical web server with PHP. If you give it a prompt like this, it should spit out something that's fairly simple and should go pretty fast. Once again, to rehearse the steps that you should have done of one, connecting to VPN. I think everybody got to that. Making sure that you have a cPanel account. I think everybody got to that. Practice logging in with both of those things. And then also making sure you have a GitHub account. And we're going to connect your GitHub account. You want to connect your GitHub account to whatever vibe code platform you like. I have left links for that. So let's go look at where you can find those. Right over wrong Slack over here. Okay, so Google AI Studio, Lovable AI at vo.app, and Bolt.new. There's instructions for how to connect GitHub on all of those. I'll be using VO for my demo. Don't feel like you have to use Vercel. And I also have a link here to how you can upload to cPanel, like upload a zip and unpack it in a directory there that has been well documented. But the part that I could not find a simple video for is the part I'm going to show you right now. So if you use that generation prompt, what you should get is something like this. So in Vercel, we have this nice little layout or printout. One of the reasons I like Vercel compared to some of the others is that they're pretty good about like telling you what they did. Like here's the features it did. Here's what the README is going to have. Like it walks you through what it does. And in Vercel, you can connect GitHub. And here is my GitHub that I have generated this app. And did it do what I asked for? Prerequisites. Yes, it did. Look at that. We have a download link for node.js and then a package manager. It's asking for that as well. And it has walkthrough instructions for how to do this. So let's go ahead and do that. So once you've generated your app, you can go to code here and you can download the zip file. I'm going to put mine on the desktop. This should work pretty much the same on Mac versus Windows. If you have a Mac and you notice some differences, feel free to let me know. I'm going to right click on this bad boy here and I'm going to extract it. Your interface might look a little different. I don't know. What's the Windows default? What is the Windows default? Extract all, this one right there. If you don't have WinRAR or some other zip program installed, you'll still have an extract all button. Here, I'll try to do that one. And it's going to ask you where, and it's going to put a directory like this. That's fine. I will just extract like that. Kerblam, now I have a directory with stuff in it. The website that I generated, it is a React app website. All right, so what am I going to do with this? Yeah, one distinction that does matter when you use the Windows extractor, it makes like a directory within a directory. It's kind of stupid. So the directory you really want is this one, like that. All right, so now how are we going to get to that and do things inside of it? Now I have already installed node.js. You go there and you can download it with this for whatever platform you're looking for. It is free. It doesn't do anything bad. The default version is fine. All right, so assuming you have node.js installed, what we can do next is run the install commands. Now, your README might give you a bunch of different options in here. Mine actually kind of gave me several paths and ways to do this. I'm just going to show you the one that I think is the easiest, that is probably ideal for what you're going to be doing. So we need to make sure that we are in the demo directory. Here we go. That I like sticking things on the desktop for stuff like this, just because it's easy to find. You're welcome to put it in another directory if you want to. We're going to go ahead and right click and open in terminal. All right, just quickly showing how you would do this all on the Mac. It's basically the same commands on either platform. And I go to code here and I download a zip. Okay, and like on Windows, I'm going to stick that on the desktop, and on Mac, I should be able to just double click on that, and it will extract that zip. And like before, we have a directory with our stuff in it. You can go to your apps and you type terminal, and it gives you terminal like this. Here we go. Now, in terminal, if you want to figure out where you are, what's in the directory you're in, you can type ls, and it lists all the things. And this is similar to Windows, where we have our home directory and we've got desktops. So I can do cd desktop. Let's hope that works. If I type ls, it lists all. Mac always wants approval for everything, but there we go. There's all the stuff that's on there. We have this directory, and just like on Windows, you can shorten the name of it. So let's call this demo, so we don't have to like type long stuff. CD demo. And now I'm in the demo directory where I can do things like npm install, and it's going to do the same thing we were doing on Windows, but on Mac. Neat. All right, once you've done the npm install, it should give you some message, something like this, like it downloaded a bunch of packages. The package is looking for funding. Don't worry about it. You don't got to fund nobody. That's just like an open source, we want contributions kind of thing, I think. So our next move is what they have here, which is the npm run build. And that hopefully will work. Let's see if it works. All right, so if you get an error like this is a really common error. It means we need to set up our configuration file. So let's go ahead and look at that configuration file. In here, we should have this next.config.mjs. I'm going to right click on that. Now, here is another opportunity for setting yourself up with some software editors. On Windows, you can just edit in Notepad if you want to. Any Windows developer will probably use Notepad++. It's like Notepad, but does more cool stuff. On Mac, there's no direct like alternative to this. I actually literally run Notepad++ in parallels. I like simulate it because I like it that much. You can use something called Sublime Text as an alternative, or TextEdit will probably work. At any rate, we want to open this thing up to edit it. All right, after you run that command, you may get an error-like looking thing here. This means a clean build. You got green check marks in there, and that's great. However, it's not ready to put up on a server quite yet because we need to modify the config file. If you weren't sure how to do that, you could ask your favorite LLM, like I've demonstrated over here. But really, in this case, it's just adding a couple of lines up at the top. Make sure their indentation is right. That does matter sometimes. So we want output for export and this directory. So now the my build folder, you would want to actually give it an actual folder. So I'm going to call it demo. And what that's going to do is that when I go to, here we go, this address, it will have a slash and then a directory after it. So like if I wanted this to go under demo, I would type that. Now you could have it at the root, but you might want to have multiple projects and multiple directories as you develop for the class. So it's a good idea to do things like put subdirectories on there. That's got demo. I save, and let's close that. And like we're going to run the command again. A nifty thing with command line, if you didn't know about it, is you can hit the up arrow and it will give you the last command you ran. So you don't have to remember it again or type it again. I hit enter and hopefully it'll do what I wanted to do this time. Probably going to pause the video during that. Oh, actually, that was really fast. All right. So hopefully this is pre-rendered static content. Let's go look at our directory. Look at that. You guys see that? There's a demo directory. Oh my gosh, we can put that online. All right, so that's actually all that you got to do. Now, if you want to use the cpanel, the basic cpanel method of getting this up, we want to stick this back into a zip. Actually, you don't have, yeah. So if you're doing basic Windows, you do compress to zip file, and that should create, we'll just call it demo.zip. Really quick, if you wanted to make a zip file to upload on Mac, you can right click and go to compress. In this case, my file is named out. If it was named demo, it would create demo, or call it demo. I could rename it as demo if you want, and then you take that to cpanel just like you did on Windows. So on cpanel, hopefully I will have demonstrated this in class, but in case you guys missed it, in cpanel we can go to File Manager, and we want to stick stuff we've made onto the public HTML directory. And I can upload things here. Here are the examples from class. Let's do the one right here. We're going to do upload. We drag that little file over there, real small, real easy. Go back. If you don't see it, you can refresh. And just for my own sanity, I'm going to delete this other demo app that I did before. All right, demo zip. We should be able to extract. And I want to, yeah, just do it here because if you have a subdirectory like I did, it will hopefully, yeah, it did what I wanted, which is it made a little demo directory. So there we have our demo directory, and here we go. Moment of truth. Let's go to my address. You won't write Ginger, by the way. You're going to write your net ID in case that wasn't obvious. Slash demo. And oh my God, it's my crappy generated app that I'm sure doesn't work. All right. Well, anyway, it's online at least. Now, this thing not working is a whole other process of troubleshooting that you might deal with. And so it looks like it's just showing the graphic. That's so embarrassing. So how would you go about troubleshooting it? Well, there's a couple of pieces of that. So one, over here, you've got this part. So you can talk to it and say, you could describe to this in chat saying, like, I've uploaded to my web server environment, it's not working. There's also stuff that you might do on this end of it to help you troubleshoot it. So if I hit F12, I can get my console. And if I go up here, oh my God, we have so many errors. That's so exciting. All right, so um, so it's failing to load some resources. So what I can do to troubleshoot this, if you do want to get your app actually working, is copy some of those errors. Be like, or over here, I built and uploaded my app. It just shows the background graphic. Here are the errors it gives. I pasted that text, and now it's going to help me work through that. Now, yours might have just worked straight up. That happened earlier today when I did as the demo for the class. But that's the process, at least. So you created a thing that you vibe coded, and you stuck it up on your web space, and now the world can see it. And that's pretty cool. And eventually, you can probably get it working. I can help you individually if you do run into problems with that, but this hopefully demonstrates how to go about doing that process. And it's updating the README to tell me how to do this better. Okay. So let's say you make some updates to your app and want to update the version that you have online, maybe to fix some problems, add some features, whatever. The steps for that are that you want to make sure that it has updated. Now, on some of these platforms, you might have to manually update it and sync it. On VO, it should just do it automatically. You can do pull requests. Because if we go up here, it still only has the initial commit. And I'm going to go ahead and just merge my changes. Like I said, this might vary a little bit by the platform you're on. In Google AI Studio, it's something like stash and merge changes. There's like a button to do it. Basically, you're updating GitHub, and you go to GitHub, and I should be able to refresh this. And now we see, look, some of the files have changed. Okay, and I can download the zip again. Okay, so once you've downloaded that, it's actually going to be the same process as before, where you want to rebuild the app to have an output directory that you can upload online. So open in terminal. And so doing it in this method, you do have to run the npm install again, which is kind of annoying. There are smarter ways to do this that would replace just the files that you need. I can show that in a future video or class time. Before you run npm build, you do want to go modify your next.config.js and again have a base path directory in there. Now, if you really don't like the unpacking of the zip thing, which I really don't like either, there's a better way to do it. And that's why I had suggested you set up an SSH client with CyberDuck or WinSCP. And there's some instructions on how to do that linked. I've already got mine set up here, but I'll just show what it looks like. And once connected, you can go to your directory, and right now this is going to the wrong place. Here we go. So I can make a subdirectory here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. New directory, demo. And I'm going to upload all this stuff from the output directory into the demo. And If there was already stuff in there, when I dragged it over, it would have given me the chance of saying, would you like to overwrite just newer files? And you would definitely do that because then it can just modify the stuff that you just changed rather than having to upload the whole thing again on Packazip. You just do individual files or components a little bit at a time. Let's go see if that wanted to work. Oh my goodness, we have a website that actually freaking works and it updated and changed some things. By works, I mean it at least displays, even though I can't click on stuff.